I'm Colonel Jason Cook, a United States Army aviator and an age 64 Apache helicopter pilot with a lifelong love of aviation and strong family ties to military aviation. My grandfather was a naval aviator and flew the PBM Mariner flying boats in the Pacific in World War II. And my granduncle was in the Army Air Forces and flew B-17Gs over Europe. My younger brother is an Army aviator as well, flying the CH-47 Chinook with the Special Operations. And our baby brother is a recent retired Marine Corps aviator who flew F-18s. Aviation is in my blood. Being here to celebrate this historic aviation accomplishment as an Army soldier and an aviator makes me feel very proud and humbled to be part of this heritage. Our current Army aviation branch traces its lineage all the way back to the earliest days of manned aviation. In 1924, the Douglas World Cruisers flew as part of the Army Air Service, which then became the Army Air Corps and later the Army Air Forces. Although you may not associate flying with the Army, maybe picturing tanks and artillery and infantry, but before the U.S. Air Force was formed in 1947, it was part of the Army. And the Army still has a very large and robust aviation force. This is why we, as Army aviators, can proudly trace our lineage to the U.S. Army Air Service round-world flight of the Douglas World Cruiser. This event not only marked a defining moment in military aviation, but also laid the groundwork for technological advancements that continue to inspire and shape the future of flight. Today, I'd like to reflect on the significance of that pioneering mission and explore how it connects to the exciting future we envision for Army aviation, particularly with the Army's future vertical lift programs. 100 years ago, the world watched in awe as a team of brave aviators embarked on a daring and unprecedented journey to flying around the world. In those days, flight was still in its infancy, barely 2 decades old, and the very notion of circumnavigating the globe by air was audacious. Yet in March 1924, 4 Douglas World Cruisers departed from here in Santa Monica to position at their official starting point in Seattle, where they were fitted with pontoon landing gear and tuned up for their long journey. And on April 6th, they took off on a mission that would redefine the boundaries of human achievement in air power. Led by Major Frederick Martin, this group of airmen faced extreme challenges: unforgiving weather, limited navigation tools, stretched logistical support, and the technological constraints of the early 20th century. Their aircraft were single-engine, open-cockpit biplanes made of spruce wood and fabric. There were no radios, no GPS, no high-tech flight controls. All these aviators had were maps, compasses, and their skills. Over the course of the next 175 days, these bold pilots flew over 26,000 miles, crossing oceans, deserts, mountains, and jungles. On September 28, 1924, 2 of the original 4 planes completed the journey, landing safely back in Seattle. Although one plane crashed in the mountains of Alaska, another one ironically sank in the North Atlantic while being towed, all the pilots survived the ordeal, and the expedition was a resounding success. So a quick humorous fact for those familiar with the military: the 4 pilots of the 2 aircraft that made it all the way around the world were all lieutenants. So leave it to the LTs to find a way. In any case, this was a demonstration of the spirit of the exploration and innovation that has always driven the United States Army and its aviators. This accomplishment showed the world that air power could transcend borders and oceans, that America had resolve and vision to push the limits of what was possible. It is this spirit that drives Army aviators even today. Although we don't get the thrill anymore of the wind in our faces like in the open Douglas cockpits, we do sometimes fly the doors off, which is pretty fun. And while we now have the latest navigation and night vision capabilities, we are still all trained to navigate off a compass and a map, just in case. But besides the historical lineage of our modern Army shares with this early air service accomplishment, this event is significant to the Army because it was a capability milestone that the Army has continued to build upon. Today we have a major unit called Army Futures Command, led by a 4-star general, which conducts research, experimentation, and integration of all new Army equipment. I serve on the Future Vertical Lift team inside Futures Command, and my team develops the requirements for new Army aviation systems. We are currently working on the Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft, a fast tilt rotor that will greatly improve troop and supply movement, as well as medical evacuation capability. We're working on future tactical unmanned aircraft systems to improve our reconnaissance and security capabilities, and to extend digital and voice communications beyond the radio dead zones of mountains, valleys, and over the horizon. Another major program is called Launched Effects, which are swarmable, long-range unmanned aircraft that have optical sensors, radar detectors, warheads, and other payloads, which will help us do reconnaissance far beyond our front line of troops and not put our soldiers at risk. These are just a few of the modernization efforts of the Future Vertical Lift team, and we are just one of many units in the Army alone, not to mention the Air Force, Marines, and Navy, who are continually working on developing the best equipment to deter or defeat any threat to our interests at home or abroad, and to dominate future battlefields. The world today is vastly different from 1924, and this centennial of the Douglas World Cruiser's achievement reminds us that innovation, boldness, and a pioneering spirit are timeless American qualities. Just like our country has, the United States Army continues to build on the designs and lessons learned of our past, and to integrate new technology and the capabilities required for our future. And just like our country, the Army's strength is its people. We're always looking for strong, dedicated Americans who are willing to put service before self, just like these brave Douglas World Cruiser aviators who flew around the world 100 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Be all you can be, forge the future, fly Army.